Good morning, sir. This is Christina Laganson, the reporter of School of Educational Philosophy. So, what is philosophy? Philosophy is an attempt to think truly about human experience or to make out whole experience intelligible by bright man. Philosophy is a search for a comprehensive view of nature, an attempt of universal explanation of nature of things by Henderson. Philosophy is the source of knowledge by Fichte. Philosophy is the science of all sciences by Coleridge. Traditional philosophies of education. First is idealism. The father of idealism is Plato. Principles of idealism. First, presence of universal mind. Second, regards man as a spiritual being. Third, the world of ideas and values are superior than the materialistic world. Last, the real knowledge is perceived in mind. Idealism and aims of education. Number 1, self-realization. Number 2, exaltation of personality through self-realization. Number 3, universal education. Number 4, development of inventive and creative power. 5, conservation, promotion, and transmission of cultural heritage. 6, bringing out or the enrichment of the cultural environment. 7, development of moral sense. 8, cultivation of spiritual values. Second of traditional philosophies of education is naturalism. What is naturalism? According to Howard Joyce, naturalism is a system of which the salient characteristic is the exclusion of whatever is spiritual or indeed whatever transcendental of experience is. The principles of naturalism are child-centered education. Second, education as the natural development of the child's power and capacities. Third, negative education in early childhood. Fourth, education should be based on child psychology. And last, the role of teacher should be that a guide. Naturalism and methods of teaching. Learning by doing, playway method, observation and experimentation, self-education or self-effort. Third is pragmatism. What is pragmatism? According to Ross, it is essentially a humanistic philosophy maintaining that man create his own values in course of activity, that reality is still in making and awaits its part of completion from the future. Principle of pragmatism, man is considered as essentially a biological and social organism. Letter B, knowledge should be experimentally verified and it should be useful to the learner. Letter C, pragmatism has faith in man's capacity to shape his destiny. Letter D, there are no absolute values. All values are relative. What works as useful becomes a value. Letter E, only those theories which can work in practical situations are true. Letter F, pragmatism is more concerned with the present and immediate future. Pragmatism accepts only the knowledge which is empirical, example, which can be experienced at sensory level. And letter H, only those ideas which can be realized in life are real. Pragmatism and aims of education. Harmonious development of the individual. Second, continuous experience. Third, social efficiency. And last, pragmatism and methods of teaching. First, principle of progressive learning. Second, principle of learning by doing. Third, principle of integration. Thank you so much. That's all.
Good morning, sir. So, this is a continuation of our topic School of Educational Philosophy. My name is Leonard V. Sinubuhan, MAED Mathematics. So number 4, realism. So what is realism? Things we see and perceive are real, and knowledge acquired through senses only is true. So according to J.S. Ross' opinion, the doctrine of realism asserts that there is a real world of things behind and corresponding to the objects of our perception. According to Butter, realism is the reinforcement of our common acceptance of this world as it appears to us. Next, realism and aims of education. So, letter A, prepare the child for a real life. Letter B, prepare the child for a happy and successful life. Letter C, fosters mental and physical powers of child. Letter D, developing and training of senses. E, providing vocational education. And F, make the child familiar with the nature and social environment. Next, number 5, theistic realism. So what is this? These are supernaturalism. It is Christian philosophy, and it is God is a creator of nature and man. Existentialism. This is European philosophy, popular after the World War II. Exponents Maxine Greene, George Keller, and Van Cleve Morris. The principle of existentialism is existence precedes essence. No inborn human nature. Center of existence is man rather than truths, laws. Man is the maker and master of nature. Man imposes a meaning on his or her universe. We are born and exist, and then we ourselves freely determines our essence. Next, existentialism and curriculum. So what are those curriculum? The curriculum would avoid systematic knowledge on structured disciplines. Next, students are free to select from any available learning situations, and the learners choose the knowledge they wish to possess. Next, existentialism in education. Choices that each person has to make, and that education is a process of developing consciousness about the freedom to choose and the meaning of and responsibility for one's choice. Next, existentialism and teacher. Teacher cultivates personal choice and individual self-definition. Next, existentialism and methods of teaching. Self-expressive activities, experimentation, methods and media that illustrate emotions, feeling, and insights. Next, reconstructionism. Based on early socialistic and utopian ideas of the 19th century, it is a society-centered philosophy. Exponents, of course, Tudor Bramell, that is often considered the originator of the term Reconstructionism in 1950. The concept of Reconstructionism, of course, crisis philosophy appropriate for a society in crisis. Reconstructionism in education. The Reconstructionists seek a curriculum that emphasizes cultural pluralism, equality, and futurism. Next, what are the program of education? These are the following. Critically examines the cultural heritage of a society as well as entire civilization. Is not afraid to examine controversial issues. Is deliberately committed to bring about social and constructive change. Cultivate a future planning attitude that considers the realities of the world. Enlist students and teachers in a definite program to enhance cultural renewal and interculturalism. Reconstructionism and curriculum. Curriculum should coincide with the new socio-economic political education. Analysis, interpretation, and evaluation of problems are insufficient. Commitment and action by students and teachers are needed. Society is always changing, and they emphasize the curriculum should also be changing in accordance to it. Reconstructionism and aims of education, of course, number 1, strengthen control of the school. Next, reconstructionism and teacher. Teachers should measure up to their social responsibilities. And Bramell remarked, students and teachers must only take positions. They must also become change agents to improve society. Number 5, progressivism, developed from pragmatic philosophy. Concept of progressivism. Course number 1, contemporary reform movement in educational and social and political affairs. Next, Dewey viewed school as a miniature democratic society in which students could learn and practice the skills and tools necessary for the democratic living. Progressivism in education. The skills and tools of learning include problem-solving methods and scientific inquiry. Learning experiences include cooperative behaviors and self-discipline. Next, schools can transmit the culture of society while it prepares students in the changing world. And thinks philosophy places emphasis on how to think and nor what to think. Progressive education focuses on the child as the learning rather on subject. Emphasize activities and experiences rather than verbal and literary skills and encourage cooperative group learning activities rather than competitive individualized lesson planning. So the progressivism and aim of education, of course, to promote democratic social living. And last, progressivism and curriculum. The curriculum is interdisciplinary in nature. Books and subject matter were part of the learning process rather than sources of ultimate knowledge. And curriculum is based on students' interests, involve the application of problems and affairs. And that is the end of our lesson. Thank you so much, sir.